Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and some more Birthright coverage here. So we're wrapping up looking at the different random events here when you're running a realm. So we're going to continue here with Unrest or Rebellion, and does exactly what it sounds like, right? So this affects only regions who rule realms. So domains that have to have at least a province. So thankfully you don't have to worry about that if you're a non-political ruler. Regions who rule only holdings are unaffected. That being said, it would make sense that, let's say there's unrest or rebellion in a province, but you are the guild master there. Well, certainly you should still feel some sort of effects of that. Maybe it disrupts your trade, or if you're a priest, maybe it's also boiling over into religious unrest and stuff like that. Rival versions, rival religions, rival sects of the same god, stuff like that. So you can get creative with that. It doesn't just have to affect one type of ruler. So the province with the lowest loyalty rating immediately drops another grade, possibly falling to poor or rebellious level. Decrees and lieutenants have no effect on unrest or rebellion. The regent must expend an action such as diplomacy, declare war, and then occupy the province or espionage, or go on an adventure to address the situation personally. Loyalty is adjusted in step 10 of the domain turn. Again, we'll talk about all that later. The effects of loyalty are detailed under, again, section 10. Adjust loyalty and regency. So that's one where you can, again, have a lot of fun with it and creativity, and it doesn't always have to be the exact same type of reason for the unrest or rebellion. So, and again, you could apply this to other things like economy, religion, etc., or combination of factors. Make it even more complicated. Throw more complicated things at your PC regents and see how they handle it, right? Maybe the unrest and rebellion stems from something that happened previously, and you can keep tying it into building into sort of a longer ongoing arc of effects and developments in said province or provinces. It's there's a lot you can do with that beyond just, again, these one-time events. Eventually you can weave these things into a pattern and story for your players. Now let's move on and take a look at matter of justice. An issue of justice or legality arises with serious implications for the regent. The population may demand a constitution or bill of rights, freedom for serfs or indentured servants, or better criminal justice system. If the regent fails to respond, again, you risk unrest throughout the entire domain, not just a province here, but this essentially nationwide. So in some ways, unrest or rebellion on steroids. In this case, the loyalty of every province will drop a level every domain turn until it's resolved, right? So if you've already, let's say you're stuck with, just for whatever reason, maybe too high taxes recently, and a lot of your provinces are already kind of low loyalty levels, this could suddenly really screw you over, and you have like a whole country in revolt, and you might have to take some serious steps to fix it. So that's definitely bad news bears when that comes up. If the regent responds by acceding to popular demand, he permanently loses 1 point of bloodline strength. Ouch, right? So this is definitely one where, depending on how you handle it, there's going to be consequences either way. And here, if you just give in to demands, well, that hard-earned bloodline strength, boom, just drops a point, and that could affect some of your blood abilities and stuff like that. On the other hand, if you make a decision in favor of the throne, this reduces let's not say further, but this reduces the loyalty of every province another grade. If the regent uses a character action to address the issue and devises a mutually acceptable solution, there's no loss of loyalty. So that's a very complicated one to handle. So again, should be some rewards too for the players if they find creative solutions that benefit everybody. And not swaying too far one way where you just give in to what the population wants, because then you're kind of a weak ruler. But you can't, you shouldn't necessarily reward players always sort of being hardliners about it and being more like dictators. So, but that's a tough one. That's a sticky one if you have to get stuck with that. And again, certainly can cause delays for other plans that you have. Now let's jump over to another, again, somewhat similar one. It's interesting how these three here in a row now all have some similarities. So great captain or heresy. So what are we talking about here? The inhabitants of a domain are swayed into placing their trust into someone else other than the regent. This event usually indicates the appearance of a charismatic hero with dangerous views. So, and again, you could weave that more into the story, like maybe this was a former noble family that feels like they've been disgraced or fallen from power, or former minister, etc. So, or maybe somebody that feels wronged by the ruler at some point. So the rise of a great captain neutralizes one holding or province of a region's domain. So it's effectively, in a certain sense, like it's gone into rebellion, basically. And it becomes loyal to the captain instead of the regent. Rulers of realms lose one law holding if they have any, or an entire province if they don't, right? Bam. The ruler of the domain collects taxes normally, but collects no regency from the affected holding or province. Interesting that they still let the taxes go through. Each domain turn, the great captain, or in this case maybe a spread of heresy, claims another holding or province from the regent's domain during the adjustment phase. So basically, this is again this is like a ticking time bomb. If you ignore it, it's just going to get worse, and you're gradually going to lose your provinces. And really, if the DM's not feeling particularly generous about how you're handling, and this could spread, and at some point get to be a very serious threat. So the problem has several possible solutions. You can use a character action to contest the captain's influence. Again, we'll get into actions in a whole separate series. The regent can use a character action to attempt to convert the captain or lieutenant, the great captain, to a lieutenant, thereby restoring his followers to the regent's fold. So fixing it that way. So essentially promoting that person and, sort of, in this case, keeping your enemies closer, but really convincing them to see your side and join your side. If they're able to organize and essentially cause one of your provinces to sway to their side, they certainly would seem capable, and maybe having that person on your side to act as a lieutenant doing what you need is a great way to keep them under thumb, but you have a capable lieutenant that you can trust somewhat to get things done. Now, you can also treat the disloyal holdings and provinces as if they were in rebellion and try to quell the unrest with a military action, right? You're not going to take any crap, bring the army out and deal with it. Now, arresting or assassinating the captain or heretic automatically sends the affected holdings and provinces into rebellion. So, if they accidentally slip on a banana peel or just meet some unfortunate end, it's obviously going to implicate you. And that's, you certainly could take that tack, but obviously, again, consequences. So that's a fun one, depending on how it's handled. And then finally here, magical event. So this, again, sandbox for the DM, can get very creative here. Definitely should not be the same magical event all the time. So some bizarre event takes place. A conjunction with the shadow world could create a plague of restless undead. That's a great one to use. A rival wizard can move into a region's domain. A rival whatever, insert rival whatever, depending on the type of ruler you are, type of region you are. And contest the resident wizard's control of the source, or again, rival religious sect starts building, rival guild starts moving in. Maybe it's a different, like a thieves guild or assassins guild, and it's disrupting your guild activity. There's a million things you can do with that. Does it draw the power of or the interest of a nearby Anshe? Depending on where this domain is geographically, are you close to the Spiderfell? Are you close to Rove Manslayer? The Gorgon? Really don't want, the attention of that thing, but there's a million things you could do, right? So a fun one to sort of finish that off here. So then let's go and take a look at the last little bit of a description here. So again, a catch-all for any kind of weird occurrence that doesn't fall into other categories. Horrible blight destroys farmland that could appear. Only way to stop it might be to actually then take an adventure and look for the cure. An important personality could mysteriously disappear. A series of frightening portents and omens might terrify the populace. Regardless of the event, it should require the regent to investigate it personally, which again can draw into an adventure or something like that. So a fun sort of end to the random events here. So this whole series here, right, we see that random stuff, bad stuff, sometimes even some good things, but rarely, but just random things can happen that will cause each ruler to have to react and deal with it. And that keeps or breaks up the gameplay a little bit to where, if, let's say maybe even one person's getting very powerful, maybe dominating the other players if, let's say, they're all rival domains, but, constantly having to deal with little things that pop up certainly can disrupt some people. And if it's, a bad random event, maybe that draws some of their attention while they're getting ready to launch a major military campaign. It delays it and maybe lets other people catch up. So it's in effect like a balancing tool, but sometimes these events can be nasty too. So if it looks like it's unnecessarily punishing players, you might again tweak the severity of some of the random events. So now we'll continue on with our look at running a domain. We'll have a couple other series here as we look at the individual phases, like, again, collecting taxes, domain maintenance, all that stuff, and go from there. And then eventually we'll look at the actual actions you can take as a ruler. So thanks so much for checking in on the series, guys, and we will see you in the next Birthright video. Like, comment, and subscribe.